Just to review, 35 questions. I'm going to skip a repeated question. So look at the first problem. Solve the equation. This is the absolute value equation. To solve this kind of equation, always, because you have one absolute value on the left side, so just add 6 both sides to bring this 6 to the right side. So by doing that, you will be able to find absolute value of 14x minus 2 equal 26. Just add 6 both sides. After that, because absolute value equal positive number gives you two options. One is 14x minus 2, it might be equal to positive 26, or 14x minus 2 might be equal to negative 26. So we need to solve both of them. Solving means we need to isolate this x on the left side. For that, just add 2 on both sides for the first equation and do the same thing on the second equation. By doing that, you can see this negative 2 and positive 2 will be cancelled out, and then from the left side you are going to get 14x equal 26 plus 2 is 28. For the first equation, 14x equal negative 26 positive 22 gives you negative 24. Now to find the x, we just have to divide both sides by 14. That's called isolation, making this x single on the left side. To do that, you have to just do the opposite operation. Like there is a multiplication between this 14 and x, so division is the opposite of multiplication. So now we get x equal 2 on this equation. We have to do the same thing here, divide both sides by 14, and you have to cancel the common factor. So when you divide negative 24 by 14, you can see that on 24 there are this factor 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 is 24. 2 times 7, these are the prime factor, so you can cancel the common factor on the top and bottom, and on the top now the remainder, the leftover is 2 times 2 times 3, which is 12, and on the right, bottom part it's a 7. So these are the two possible answer for this equation: x equal 2 and x equal negative 12 over 7. Since we are asked to find the solution set, we always have to use these brushes. So these are the answer we have: 2 and negative 12 over 7. 2 comma negative 12 over 7. So these are the answer. Okay, the same thing. To solve this question, you have to know the property of absolute value. By doing the same thing we did for the first problem, you can solve t plus 5 equal 4, and this gives you two options: t plus 5 equal 4 and t plus 5 equal negative 4, and you can solve that equation exactly the way I did for the first one. Okay, so number 2, a, t plus 5 equal 4 and t plus 5 equal negative 4. These are the two options because of this absolute value, and when you subtract 5 from both sides of these two equations, it gives you t equal negative 1 for the first equation and t equal negative 9 for the second equation. So these are the solution set for this problem. The answer are negative 1, and negative 9. Let's see, negative 1 and negative 9. Okay, to answer the part B, anything absolute value equals 0, that's only possible if that thing itself is 0. So that means t plus 5 has to be 0. There is a property for absolute value. If you have absolute value of something equals 0, that means that thing inside the absolute value has to be 0. So now solve for t, that gives you negative 5. Remember, we are looking for the solution set, so we always have to use the brushes. If you have absolute value of something equal -6, remember absolute value should be positive or 0. It cannot be negative. If it's negative, that means there is no solution. The solution should be empty. So these are the answer. Solve x squared equal 8, where x is a real number. Simplify your answer as much as possible. If there is more than one solution, separate them with commas. If there is no solution, click no solution. So this is the quadratic equation. There are different ways to solve this, but you can use square root property, which tells you, hey, if x squared equal 8, if x squared equal any positive number, then x should be positive k and negative square root of k. These are the two possible solutions. Okay, in this case k is 8, so positive square root of 8 and negative square root of 8. So they are asking us to simplify as much as possible, so we have to find out the square root of 8, which is basically 4 times 2, and the square root of 4 is 2, so it gives you 2 times the square root of 2. The same thing goes here, 4 times 2, so that means 2 times the square root of 2. So these are the two solutions. Times, this is times, okay? So this is the simplified form. So when you write down the answer, if there is no solution, click no solution. So the answer, 2 square root of 2 and comma -2 and square root of 2. These are the answer. Okay, we can use the same trick here, but right now in this case, like as in problem 3, we had x squared on the left side and positive number on the right side. In this case, instead of x squared, we have w minus 6 whole square minus 24. So we can use a similar trick here. We can use the completing square trick. So number 4, w minus 6 whole square negative 24 equals 0. Now if I add 24, then I can bring this 24 to the other side. That makes my equation w minus 6 whole square equal 24. Let's assume that instead of w minus 6 you had x. Then you are going to repeat the same thing we did here. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. No matter what do you have inside the parentheses, you can still apply that square root property. So using the square root property, you can say w minus 6 should be equal to the square root of 24, and w minus 6 could be equal to the negative of the square root of 24. Okay, so now just add 6. So if you add 6 both sides, w equals 6 plus square root of 24, and here w equals 6 minus square root of 24. So these are the answer, but when you look at the answer, it says simplify your answer as much as possible. You can still simplify this square root of 24, which is 6 times square root of 24 is 4 times 6. 4 is a perfect square number, so it gives you 2 times the square root of 6. So I can, instead of writing square root of 24, I can say w equal 6 plus 2 times the square root of 6. That's the one answer. And w equals 6 minus 2 times the square root of 6. That's another one. So the answer, w equal 6 plus 2 times the square root of 6 plus 6 plus square root of 2 times the square root of 6. That's the one answer, comma, and 6 minus 2 times square root of 6 is another answer. So there are two options for this. Okay, fill in the blank with the number to make the expression a perfect square. Whenever you see the square term and the variable with power 1, you can complete the square by adding to find this number, you just have to divide a number in front of y. In this case, it's a 2 by 2, and then square it. So meaning, whatever number comes in front of, here, y in this case, just divide that number by 2. In this case, it's a 2. If you divide 2 by 2, that gives you 1. So you have to add square of that number, square of 1. Luckily, square of 1 is still 1, so it doesn't matter. So, but you have to take the square of any number which comes from here by dividing by 2. Okay, so by doing that, what happens is, if you look at here, it's actually y square minus 2 times y times 1 plus 1 whole square. It can be written as y 1 square, and then sign is coming from this. So this is actually y minus 1 whole square. It's complete square. Okay, solve the quadratic equation by completing the square. We can solve quadratic equation by using quadratic formula, by using factoring. This time we are using completing the square. We are going to use the similar trick we used before for the problem number 5. First of all, write down the question. Okay, bring this constant to the right side, meaning just subtract that number from both sides. That gives you x square plus 10x equal negative 15. Now complete the square on the left side. Since you cannot just add number on the left side, you have to add the same number on the both sides. So in this case, to complete the square on the left side, you have to add the square of the number coming from when you divide 10 by 2. If you divide 10 by 2, that will give you 5. So we are adding 5 both sides, not just one side. That's the trick. Okay, if you just add one side, that will not continue the same equation. It will be a different equation. So we are adding the same 5 square both sides. So we are just rearranging this equation, very same equation. So the beautiful thing about this completing square is, now on the left side you have a square of the first term, which is x, the last term, which is 5, the square, and then the sign is coming from the middle term, which is plus. So this is actually x plus 5 whole square. And when you do math here on the right side, 5 square is 25 minus 15 is 10. So this is an equation similar to, I think it's a problem number 4 we did. This is exactly a similar problem like this. Make sense? So the rest is, you just have to solve this equation, but there are two questions we need to answer here. The first one is, just copy this x plus 5. This is the format, 5 equal 10. That's the first one. And second one, to solve this equation, just use the square root property. It gives you x plus 5 equal square root of 10. That's the one answer. X plus 5 equal negative square root of 10. Now, if you subtract 5 from here, that gives us x equal negative 5 positive square root of 10, x equal negative 5 negative square root of 10. Remember, the square root of 10, we cannot simplify this further because there is no perfect square number when you try to find the primes, the product, the factors of 10, prime factors of 10, which are 2 and 5. So this is our simplest form already. So the answers are negative 5 plus square root of 10, negative 5 minus square root of 10. These are the two answers. Negative 5 plus square root of 10 and comma negative 5 minus square root of 10. Simplify. Whenever you see a term like this, to simplify, just find out the factors on the top, factors on the bottom, and try to cancel the common factor. In this problem, as you can see here, negative 18 plus 3 square root of 3 over 24. So the common factor on the top is 3. If you factor out 3, then you see that from the first term there will be -6 left over, because 3 times -6 is -18. And from the second term, because this 3 is gone outside, the leftover is square root of 3. And 24 is actually 3 times 8. I'm trying to write it down as a 3 times 8 so that I can cancel this common factor. So this is the simplified form. Okay, so the answer is -6 positive square root of 3 divided by 8. That's the simplification. Okay, use the quadratic formula for solving this kind of equation. So remember, the quadratic formula is this one. If you have quadratic equation ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, where a, b, and c are some real number, then the solution for this type of equation can be found by using this formula: -b positive negative square root of b square minus 4 times a times c divided by 2 times a. Remember, this plus minus means one time you have to use plus and next time you have to use minus. So there will be two possible answers. So just look at this equation we have given here. If you compare this equation with this equation, you can find out a by looking at the number which is in front of x squared, in this case 5. B is the number in front of x, which is -9, and c is the number which is constant here, which is 2. So a equal 5, b equal -9, and c equal 2. We're going to use this value here in this formula. So x is -5, b, which is negative times -9, positive and negative square root of b square, -9 whole square, which is 81. I just square it. -4 times 5, 4 times a is 5 and c is 2. So 4 times 5 times 2, which is 40. 4 times 5 is 20, 20 times 2 is 40, divided by 2 times a, which is 4. Okay, so now just try to simplify it. Negative times negative is positive, plus minus 81 minus 40 is 41, divided by 4. So there is no way we can simplify this square root of 41 any further. So this is our answer. But remember, when you type your answer, separate them with the comma. So one time use plus, another time use minus. Here I cannot do anything further because there is no common factor on the top and bottom. So the answer are positive 9 plus square root of 41 divided by 4. That's the one answer, comma, one more time, positive 9 minus square root of 41 divided by 4. So these are the two possible answers, plus and minus. Okay, your answer is incorrect. I don't know what did I miss, so let me go back and try to find out what did I do wrong. So 9 times 9 is a is 5, b is -9, c is 2. When I plug that value here, that's negative times negative is positive 9, plus and minus square root of b square, which is -9 square, which is 81, minus 4ac. 4 times 5 is 20 times 2 is 40, and square root of 81 minus 40 is 41. So 9 plus square root of 41 and minus square root of 41. I don't know what I'm missing here. Okay, so I got it here. It's the actual missing point is 2 times a. If you look at the formula here, I have to multiply 2 and a. In our case, a is 5. I use c instead of a. So 2 times 5 is supposed to be 10. So this number, instead of 4, it's supposed to be 10. Okay, so let me just fix that. 10. So the lesson is you have to make sure that the the options you have used in the formula. Okay, otherwise it makes your work completely wrong. Okay, so next problem, it's a problem 9. Here we have to solve radical equation. As you can see that there is a square root. So for solving the any radical equation, you have to first isolate the radical. In this case, we can keep this radical on the left side and we bring this one to the right side, which by subtracting 1 from both sides. It gives us, this is problem 9. So problem 9, if I do that, I can write down this very same equation is equal to square root of 2w minus 6 is equal to 2 by subtracting 1 from both sides. So after this, after isolating this radical on one side, now we have to take both sides the power equal to the index of this radical. In this case, the index is 2. It's a square root. So we have to just square both sides. Okay, we can do that. We can take the same power both sides. If we do that, the good thing about doing this is now there will be no more radical on the left side. It will just give you 2w minus 6 and 2 square equal 4. So this radical sign and then square, they will be cancelled out. And now we just have to solve this equation. And for that, I'm going to add 6 both sides. That gives me 2w equal 10. I'm going to divide both sides by 2. That gives me w equal 5. So that is the answer for this question. And we can always check our answer by plugging back this w equal 5 in the given equation. So 2 times 5 is 10. 10 minus 6 is 4. Square root of 4 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. And that is the answer we have given on the right side. So that is the answer, which is w equal 5. Okay, one more time, this is the radical equation. You have to isolate the radical. On one side, it's already isolated. Now you have to take the power equal to the index of the radical. In this case, it's 2. So just square both sides, and then you have to solve the quadratic equation. Okay, but finally, eventually, after finding the solution, you always have to check your solution. So this is our problem 10. And square root of 5x minus 11 equal x minus 1, and you have to square both sides, and then by doing that, on the left side you get 5x minus 11, on the right side you get x minus 1 whole square. If you just FOIL it, x minus 1 whole square is x minus 1 times x minus 1. If you just FOIL it, it gives you x square minus 2x plus 1. If you just multiply it, this is the thing you are going to get. Now it's a quadratic equation. To solve the quadratic equation, you have to bring everything on the one side. So I'm just going to subtract 5x and then add 11, subtract 5x and add 11. By doing that, one side would be 0 and on other side it would be x square minus 7x plus 12. So you can write down equation like this: 0 on the left side on the on the right side. They are same equation. Okay, that is same thing. This one and this one, they are same. So now on the left side, this is quadratic equation. We can solve quadratic equation by using quadratic formula, by completing square property, by using factoring. In this case, I'm using factoring by using AC method. So here you can see 12. 12 can be factored as a 3 times 4 or negative 3 times negative 4. And if I add this negative 3 and negative 4, that will give me negative 7. So eventually, what we can do is, these are the factor we are going to get: x minus 3 times x minus 4 on the left side. Because if you FOIL it, it will give you x square minus 7x plus 12 by just factoring this 12 in a way that the sum of those two factors would be negative 7. Now if you try to solve this, it gives you x equal 3 from the first factor and x equal 4 from the second factor. But both of them might not be the solution of this equation, the original one. Remember, this is the solution for quadratic equation we got which we got after manipulating the original equation. So this is not actually the original equation. So we are going to check which one is the right solution here, or both of them are the right solution. So check. If I plug positive 3 in the given equation, that will be square root of 3 times 5 is 15 minus 11 equal 3 minus 1, which is 2. 15 minus 11 is 4, and square root of 4 is 2. So that is the true statement, meaning this one is the right solution. 3 is already one of the right solution. Let's check about 4. So square root of 5 times 4 is 20 minus 11 equal 4 minus 1. 20 minus 11 is square root of 9 equal 3. 3 equal 3. So both of them are the right solution because both of them are giving us true statement. So positive 3 and positive 4 are the two solutions for this equation. Positive 3 and positive 4. Okay, whenever you see the radical sign on the both side, first of all, isolate the one of the radical term on the one side, but both of them are already isolated. So we are just going to take the power which is equal to the index of this radical, which is in this case it's a square. So by doing that, if you take a square both sides, this is what you are going to get. This is problem 11. After squaring, it gives me 7u plus 8 on the left side and 2u plus 3 on the right side. Now I just have to solve it, and I can bring this 2u on the other side, and I can bring this 8 on the other side by subtracting them. 7u minus 2u is 5u. This 8 and this 8 cancel out. This 2u and this 2u cancel out. Negative 8 and plus 3 is negative 5. So I can just divide both sides by 5. That gives me u equal negative 1. So that's the one answer. So if we plug u equal negative 1 here, it would be negative 7 plus 8, which is positive 1, negative 2 plus 3, which is also positive 1. So that's the right answer. So I already checked it. You can do it manually on your paper. Okay, so here this is very similar problem like this, but instead of taking a square, you have to take cube both sides. But eventually this is the same type of problem, so I'm going to skip it. So I will go to the next problem, problem 13. This is again very similar. Instead of the radical sign we use before, for example, what is that, number 9? Number 9, yes, instead of number 9, here you have square root. In this problem you have cube root. So you bring the 3 on the right side by adding 3 and take the cube both sides. So I'm going to skip this problem as well. Very similar to the previous problem. Problem 14. Calculate the distance between the points -5, -1, 1 and 2. Give an exact answer, not a decimal. So you remember there is a formula for finding the distance between 2 points. Let's say you have the 2 points x1, y1, and then there is another point which is x2, y2. Then you can find the distance between them by using this formula: square of the difference between the x coordinate and square of the difference between the y coordinate. y2 minus y1 square. So in this case, let's assume that first one is x1, y1, and then second one is x2, y2. You can choose any one to be any like x1, y1. It's not the first one. You could also choose the second one as x1, y1, and then g as a x2, y2. It doesn't matter. So x2 is our 1, x1 is our -5. So that negative and this negative is already in the formula, makes it +5 whole square. y2 is 2, that's the coordinate of m, y coordinate, minus the y1 is -1. That negative and this negative makes positive. So eventually this is 6 square, which is 36, 3 square, which is 9, 36 plus 9 is 45. So it's a square root of 45. You can simplify this always. It's actually 9 times 5, and square root of 9 is 3, so that's why this is our answer. 3 times square root of 5. Since they are asking us exact answer, not a decimal, so we need to use this radical sign. Do not use your calculator for finding the square root of 45. So it should be 3 times square root of 5. Okay, find the midpoint. So there is another formula. If you have 2 points like x1 y1 and x2 y2, then the midpoint can be found by using this formula. Add the x coordinate and divide x coordinates of those 2 points and divide it by 2. Add the y coordinates of those 2 points and divide it by 2. That gives you the midpoint. In this case, let's assume that C is x1 y1, D is x2 y2, and now for finding the midpoint, just add the x coordinate, which is -2 and -8, divided by 2. Add the y coordinates, which is -8 and +6, divided by 2, and that would be the coordinate of the midpoint. -2 and -8 is -10, divided by 2 is -5. -8 plus 6 is -2. -2 divided by 2 is -1. So this is the coordinate for for the midpoints. -5, -1, -5, and -1. Okay. Estimate the x and y intercept from the graph. X-intercept means a point of you see on this curve which is intersecting the x coordinate. As you can see here, this curve, the circle is intersecting the x coordinate at -8 and 0. So these are the x coordinate, x intercepts. So x intercept. Separate your answer using comma. So -8 and 0. These are the x intercept. And y intercept means any points on the y axis. So as you can see that at the 0 and +6, 0 and +6 are the y intercept. Okay, the reason it's wrong because I did not use the the points form, so I need to use the points form. If you just use the value of the x coordinate or the y coordinate, Alex is not going to take it. So to write down the x intercept, we have to write down x coordinate -8, comma 0, because for the x intercept the y coordinate would be always 0. So for the y for the another x coordinate x intercept at 0, it's a 0, 0. Remember, for the x intercept the y coordinate would be 0. For the y intercept the x coordinate would be 0. So it's a 0, 0 and 0, comma 6, which is, so -8, 0 means this point, 0, 0 means this point, 0, 6 means this point. So now let's recheck. Now they are right. So I missed that idea of presenting our x-intercept and y-intercept as a order pair. So do not forget about that. In Alex, they're asking us to present our x-intercept and y-intercept as a complete points. Okay, for finding the x-intercept, you have to just use the equation, put y equal to 0 and solve for x. So in this equation, I might need more, the extra page. So okay. So in this equation, first of all, this is problem 17. For finding the x and y intercept, for finding the x-intercept, you have to put y equal to 0. If you are looking for x-intercepts, you have to put y equal to 0 in the equation. So that gives us 5x equal 35. And you need to solve for x here. That gives us x equals 7. So, but remember the x-intercept, the way you have to write it as a 7, comma 0. So that's our x-intercept, 7, comma 0. For the y-intercept, we're going to repeat the very same thing, but this time we have to replace this x by 0. So for the y-intercept, you have to put x equal to 0 in the given equation, and that gives us 7y equal 35. If you just divide both sides by 7, that gives us y equal 7 times 5, so 5. But remember, the y-intercept, the way we have to write is 0 comma 5, 0 comma 5. Okay, find the x and y intercept. By doing the same thing, we can find the x and y intercept. Just put x equal to 0 for the y intercept and put y equal to 0 for the x intercept, and it will give you the x intercept and y intercept. This time you have to solve the absolute value equation. So this is problem 18. For y intercept, for the x intercept, I'm going to put y equal to 0, and when I do that, this equation becomes 0 equal absolute value x minus 2 minus 7. So now I can just add 7 both sides, and that will be 7 equal absolute value of x minus 2. So whenever you see absolute value equals some positive number, there are two possibilities. X minus 2 might be equal to positive 7, or x minus 2 might be equal to the negative 7, and we need to solve both of those possibilities and just add 2 both sides of this equation for these two separate equations. That gives us x equal 9 and x equal negative 5. But remember, the way we write x-intercept as a complete x-intercept, 9 comma 0 and negative 5 comma 0, because we got this solution by plugging y equal to 0 in the given equation for finding the x-intercept. So 9 comma 0, sorry, there is a comma already, and another one is let me double check, 9 comma 0 and negative 5 comma 0, negative 5 comma 0. Now for finding the y-intercept, take the same equation, this equation, put x equal to 0. So if you take y equal absolute value 0 minus 2 minus 7, so this is absolute value of negative 2, which is eventually positive, because absolute value of positive or negative number always gives you positive or 0. So this time it's absolute value of negative 2, which is positive 2. So 2 minus 7 equal negative 5. But remember, the way we write answer, 0 comma negative 5. That's our y-intercept. There is only one y-intercept, 0 comma negative 5. Let me double check, negative 5, yes. What did I do wrong? 9 comma 0 and negative 5 comma write each intercept as order pair. Yes, we did that, 9 comma 0, and let me double check here, negative 5 comma 0. Okay, so I put y equals 0, absolute value of x minus 2, negative 7. I add 7 both sides. So absolute value of x minus 2 is positive 7 and negative 7. I added 2. So 7 plus 2 is 9. Oh, if there is more than one intercept, use the and. I use comma here. That's my mistake. Look, I did not read the instruction, and I must have to read the instruction. Now I have to use this part. So now it's right. So look, though my work was right and then answer was right, but because I did not read the instruction to put the answer properly, I got it wrong. So do not make the same mistake while taking the test. So you have to practice this type of thing again and again. Okay? Okay, find the x and y intercept. I'm not going to repeat the very same thing, just to the same idea we use for number 17 and 18. Here, find the equation. The equation of a circle is given. Identify the center and radius. This is equation in standard form. If you remember the equation of circle in standard form, which is x minus h whole square plus y minus k whole square equal r square. This is the equation of a circle, center at h comma k, and then radius of this circle is r. So we're going to compare the given equation with this equation. So if you compare that, there is no h. There is no h means there is a 0 for h, and for k there is a 5. So I can write down this equation as x minus 0 whole square plus y minus 5 whole square equal 2 square, because 4 is a 2 square. So if I compare these two equations, I get h 0 for h and then 5 for k. 0, 5, and radius is 2. Now to plot the graph of a circle, always choose this one. Choose this point 0, 5. So what is 0, 5? 0 and 5. And now you need one more points on the circle itself, and that can be found by using the radius. From the center, go up 2 units to get that another point. There are so many different ways, but I'm going to go just 2 units up. So 5, 6, and 7. If I click here, that will give my circle. Even from center, if I go 2 units to the right or left or down, I will be able to find a point on this circle. So to plot the graph, always use this one, plot the center, use the radius to find another point. Okay. This is equation of circle in general form. So we can find the equation of, we can find the center and radius of circle using the general form, but for that we have to change that into the standard form. Standard form means we need to change that equation in this form by completing a square twice. I'm going to show you how you can do this. So first of all, write down the equation. Write down the x terms together, y terms together, and then constant to the right side. If I do that, I can write x square minus 4x together plus y square minus 2y together, and if I subtract 1 from this equation both sides, I can get -1 on the on the right side. So now we have to complete the square to get the equation of circle in standard form. And for that, we have to add number here and here such that makes our first 3 term complete square and next 3 term complete square. So to complete the square, you just have to divide 4 by 2 and take the square of that number, which is, if you divide 4 by 2, that will give you 2. So it's a 2 square. But remember, you cannot add 2 square on the left side of the equation. You also have to do the same thing on the right side to balance the equation. So now these 3 terms give you this complete square. And now by doing the same thing here, if you divide 2 by 2, that will give you 1. So I'm going to add 1 square both sides. 1 square means 1 itself. So good thing about this is, from here now I can write down this as a square of the first term, which is x, the last term, which is 2, and then sign is coming from the middle term, which is minus. And there is a plus sign here. And we can do the same thing, square of the first term, which is y, the last term, which is 1, and then sign is coming from the middle. And if we do simplification here, this -1 and +1 cancel out, and then only left over is 2 square. So this is the standard form of very same equation we were using here. So it's a very same equation, but now this time we can say that, hey, by comparing this to the standard equation, the center is 2, 1 and radius is 2. So the radius is 2, the center is 2, 1. And now by using the same idea we used before in problem 20, we have to start with the center, which is 2, 1, this one, and then by using the radius, that means 2 units to the left or right or up or down, 1, 2 from the center gives us another point on the circle, and then that helps us to plot the graph. Okay, given a circle with center and radius, we have given a center and radius, so we can find out the standard form. It's not big deal. The very same equation we can use x minus this center y minus the y coordinate of the center equal radius square, so 4 square. So I'm going to skip it. It's a very same idea. Okay, write an equation of circle with center. Center is given and radius is given, so it's a very same idea. It's a x minus h, which is 6 whole square, and then plus y minus 5. I supposed to skip this, but 2 square, which is 4. Okay, so if you know center and radius of a circle, then finding equation is very easy. But in this case, find an equation of a circle that has a center. Center is given, but the radius is not. But you have given a point, so you can find the radius by using that point. That's the idea. So I'm going to just give you the idea here. Here is a circle. There is a center. Center is -5, 4. And somewhere here on this circle there is a point which is 1, -5. So 1, -5. Look at here, the distance from this point to this point gives you the radius. I can say very easily that this distance is 3 because it's going from, it's supposed to go to the left side actually. Let me, yeah, here. It's 1, -5, 1. 1, -5. Okay, I'm making mistake here. 1, -5. So it's a -5, 4, 1, -5 somewhere here. Now this distance, the distance between these 2 points, gives you the radius, and that distance can be found by using the distance formula. R equal the square root of x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square. That's the distance formula we just covered in one of the previous problem here. Just use that formula, find out the radius, and now you have radius and center. Do exactly the way I did like problem 23, and then you can answer this question. The only one step you have to find is the radius by using this distance formula. Find an equation of circle whose diameter has endpoints. This time they are not giving you, the center and radius, but they are giving you 2 points on the diameter of a circle. So you have to understand diameter means a line passing through that center of a circle. Okay, and they are giving you these 2 points: -6, +2, +2, +2. So now, because to find the equation of circle, you need a midpoint, you need the center, which is actually the midpoint of these 2 points, and you need the radius, which is actually the distance of one of these points from the center. So first of all, find out the center. Center is actually the midpoint of these 2 points. So center is midpoint, and you can use the midpoint formula, which is sum of the x coordinate, which is -6 plus 2 divided by 2. That's the midpoint formula. And then sum of the y coordinate, which is +2 and +2 divided by 2. That is the center of your circle. So -6 plus 2 is -4, divided by 2 is -2, and then 2 plus 2 divided by 2 is 2. So this center is -2, +2. That's the center of the circle. Now you have center and one, 2 different points for finding the radius. Just use the distance formula the way you did problem 24. Where is that? Yes, 24. Just use this formula for finding the radius, and after finding the center and radius, finding the equation is very easy. Okay, let's go to the next problem, problem 26. So I skipped that because it's it can be done using the previous problems. Very same idea as a previous problem. Graph the equation and identify the x and y intercept. So there are 2 ways you can go. You can graph the equation, but to plot the graph you need the points. So you get find the x and y intercept first and then plot the graph. You can do that, or you can plot the graph first by using some other method and then find the x and y intercept. But I always use x and y intercept whenever it's possible to plot the graph, because they are easy point to find. So for finding the x and y intercept, we already discussed, you just have to put y equal to 0 for the x intercept, and here that gives us negative 4x equal negative 4. If you solve for x, that gives us x equal 1. So meaning 1 comma 0 is one of the point which is x intercept of this line, and we can use this point when we plot the graph. So now I'm going to find the y intercept, which can be found by putting x equal to 0 in the given equation. That means y equal negative 4. So 0 comma negative 4 is a y intercept, and then I can use these 2 points to plot the graph. So look at here. So I can use x intercept, which is, what is the x intercept, which is 1 0, 1 comma 0, and I can use the y intercept, which is 0 comma negative 4, and I can use very same points to plot the graph. So line, I need 2 points, which is 1 comma 0, so 1 comma 0, this is the point, and another point is 0 comma negative 4, 0 comma negative 4, this one. Okay, so 1 comma 0 and 0 comma negative 4. So whenever it's possible, find the x and y intercept to plot the graph of a straight line. Determine the slope of the line passing through given points. There is a formula for finding the slope of a line passing through 2 points. This is problem 27. If a line is passing through 2 points, let's name them. The first point and then second point, x1, y1 and x2, y2. The slope of this line can be found by finding the difference between the y coordinate on the top and then difference between the x coordinate on the bottom. Let's assume that 8, 2 is x1, y1 and negative 1, negative 6 is x2, y2. So if I do that, the y2 is negative 6, y1 is 2, x2 is negative 1 and x1 is 8. So it's a negative 6, negative 2 is negative 8, negative 1, negative 8 is negative 9. It's basically positive 8 over 9. So that's the slope for this particular line, 8 over 9. Okay, so let's go to another problem. Write the equation in slope-intercept form. So slope-intercept form means y equal mx plus b, y equal mx plus b form. So this is problem 28, I guess. Look at here, 28, yes. So we have to take this equation and we have to keep y on the left side and bring everything on the right side. Let me write it down. Negative x positive 5y equal negative 5. So just add x. So that gives us 5 times y equal x negative 5. And now because we only need y on the left side, we're going to divide both sides by 5. By doing that, our equation is y equal 1 over 5 times x minus 5. Okay, the good thing about the slope-intercept form is we can find out the slope and intercept, y-intercept of this equation just by looking m and b. So the slope, meaning rise over run, is 1 over 5, and then y-intercept is 0 comma negative 5. So the slope is 1 over 5, the y-intercept is 0 comma negative 5, and the equation written in the slope-intercept form is y equal 1 over 5 x minus 5. What's wrong? Let me go back. Y-intercept is 0 comma negative 5. Did I do something wrong here? Oh, I missed that. When I divide 5 by 5, I just copy 5. It's supposed to be 1. So this is the mistake I did here. Look at here. It's supposed to be 1. So it's supposed to be negative 1. It's supposed to be negative 1. It's supposed to be negative 1. Very, very big mistake. Now that's right. Now, if you want to plot the graph, you start with the y-intercept, which is 0, comma, negative 1. 0, comma, negative 1. So that means where is the negative 1? 0, comma, negative 1. It's the middle of this. Okay, that's 0, comma, negative 1. We need another point. How do you find the one other point? Either you can find the x-intercept by putting y equal to 0 in this original equation. That gives us x equal 5. So that is 5, 0. Or you can use this slope. Slope means rise over run. From that point, this point, y-intercept, if you rise 1 unit up, then you have to go 5 unit right. Okay? Yes. So that's another way. Graph the line one more time. If you compare, if you use the very same idea like in problem 28, this equation can be seen as 4 over 3x plus 0, which means y equal mx plus b. If we compare with this equation, we can say that, hey, the slope of this equation is, slope is 4/3, and then y-intercept, which is 1 point on that equation, is 0, comma 0. So one of the point is 0, comma 0. We are so sure about that. So 0, comma 0. That's the 1 point. And by using the slope, which is go from this point 4 unit up, and 3 unit right. And that you are going to get another point. Remember, if your slope is negative, then go up and left direction. Okay? If slope is positive, then go the number, the unit you have, the number you have on the top, go that many units to the up, and then the number you have on the bottom, that many units to the right to get another point. Or you can use some other value of x for finding another point. That's up to you. Graph the line, very same idea. I'm going to skip it. Graph the line. X equal 5 is the vertical line. So x equal 5 is the vertical line. So where is the 5? Here. X equal 5. X equal 5. So you just have to choose the 2 points on this vertical line, and that will give you the graph. Okay, for each line, determine whether the slope is positive, negative, 0, or undefined. So look at here. This is a horizontal line. The slope is 0 because it's not changing. Slope means rate of change, but it's a constant function. Nothing is changing. Whenever you have a vertical line like this, the slope is always undefined. Okay? If line, when you walk from left to right, if your line is going down, the slope is negative. When you walk from left to right side, if your line is going up, the slope is positive. Write an equation in slope-intercept form for the line with the slope negative 1 over 4 and y-intercept negative 6. So the equation is, if you remember, y equal slope, which is negative 1/4, it's given here, x plus your value of the y-intercept, which is negative 6. So plus times minus is minus 6. That's your equation. Now if you try to find and plot the graph, use the same idea. Negative y-intercept is 6, so that means 0, comma negative 6 is your point. To get another point, you can use the slope. This time it's a negative slope, so go 1 unit up from this point, 1 unit up, and 4 unit left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, if it's negative, go the number up by looking the number on the top, and left by looking the number on the bottom. Use the point slope formula to write an equation of the line that passes through negative 2, comma 0 and has a slope of 1/5. Write and the answer in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form if possible. Okay, look at here. So whenever we have given the slope and a point, so this is number 34. Let's say there is a line passing through a point x1, y1, and then slope of this line is m. Then there is a formula for finding the equation, and that formula is y equal, y equal x times, m times x minus x1 plus y1. So this is called point slope form, one point and slope. So plug the value of m, x1 and y1 in this case and change that to the slope intercept form. So let's do that. In our case, the slope is given, which is 1/5. Point is given -2, 0. So I'm going to put that it's a -2, 0. Slope is, what is that? It's a negative or positive? Positive 1/5. So y equal 1/5. X minus x1 is -2. So this negative and this negative becomes +2. And y1 is 0. So you don't have to write down that. And we want to write down the equation in slope intercept form. So that means just distribute this 1/5 here. So that gives us 1/5 x plus 2/5. This is slope intercept form. So 1/5 x plus 2/5. Y equal 1/5 x plus 2/5. Number 35, use the point slope formula to write down the equation of line that passes through these 2 points. Right? Yeah, this is exactly same as 34, so I'm going to skip that. Okay.